Flooding rains continue in Mozambique from Cyclone Freddy, with more rumblings in the South Pacific on tonight's Tropical Weather Bulletin. And now the latest around the wide world of tropics. Tropical Weather Bulletin for February 26th. Two tropical cyclones that we've been tracking for a good while now, Freddy and Enala, both still active but much weakened compared to their peak intensities. They're the 8th and 9th storms to form this year so far. Freddy there inland over Mozambique, dumping lots of rainfall over the area, Enala harmlessly out at sea. 95 days until the Atlantic hurricane season begins, and there's not much going on in the region. A very large extratropical system taking shape though out over there off the coast of Atlantic Canada, and a lot of cloud cover over the United States with a big wind event occurring there tomorrow. Two decent chances on systems in the South Pacific, 90% now on the area of interest that will be heading close to Vanuatu, closely followed behind it by another 40% chance system for an area that might develop off the coast of Australia into the Coral Sea. Watch those areas very closely. Cyclone Enala has the South Indian Ocean to itself actually, as it continues mostly southwards, but it is expected to stall for a little bit and possibly move back northwards a little actually before it turns southwards again and dies off. Freddy has been inland for about a day and a half now at least, and there it is, quite a way inland over probably Gaza province in southern Mozambique, and will continue to trouble the area with lots of rainfall over the next few days. Satellite imagery shows this around the world, and there's not much from Freddy until the later images there. There's a lot of red that grows from big convective cloud tops, and over the Australian region looks like there's quite a bit going on there as well from just tropical disturbances, nothing actually in a tropical cyclone form. So here is Freddy. It still looks decent, and perhaps it's getting some of its mojo back, believe it or not. Could it re-intensify the tropical storm status? Well, that's a big question, but what is certainly happening right now is that there's lots of cloud top convection that's blowing up there, generally to the north of the storm's centre. We'll just throw it quickly to Enala here. You can see how that storm has been progressing, and it's partially exposed. It's been that way for quite a while, holding on to around 50-mile-per-hour winds at the moment, although the centre of circulation is probably starting to stall right now. Will the convection get completely sheared off? Well, that's the question that we're going to get answered in a while. Look at that, towering cloud tops from Freddy on the northern side and northeastern sides, and that's extending up towards Beira. The whole area underneath those cloud cover regions could be getting very high amounts of precipitation and high rain rates, which will lead to substantial flash flooding. We believe that so far at least 7 have been killed in Madagascar when the storm moved through there. Numbers in Mozambique not known just yet, but several tens of thousands have already been displaced. Taking a look at the sea surface temperatures around the world, and this is what we're currently receiving right now. In the eastern Pacific, a few areas near the equator getting close to the 80-degree threshold in Fahrenheit at least, that's 26 Celsius. A few zones in the Caribbean Sea also getting to that value as well. Over towards the Arabian Sea, temperatures there pushing 27, maybe 28 degrees off the coast of India. On the other side, the eastern side, 28 in the Andaman Sea, and just on the other side in the Bay of Bengal in a few spots as well. Southwest Indian Ocean, very warm. If Freddy emerges back over water, it's got a decent shot at reforming. It shouldn't though. Temperatures are pushing 29 Celsius. 28 in the open waters, where Enala is right now, it's barely 26, and down towards the Australian region, some very warm waters still off the coast of Western Australia, 30 degrees plus, and in the Gulf of Carpentaria they have been simmering down a little bit, 26 to 28 generally, pushing 29 off the north coast of Australia. Down to the South Pacific, the area where we might get some significant development, 29 degrees at least, an area that's been quiet recently and untapped, could receive 1 or 2 major cyclones down the line. And in the Western Pacific, looking good in the deep tropics, 28 degrees plus, and off the coast of the Philippines around 26 to 28. The Philippine Sea is indeed above average looking at the sea surface temperature anomalies, and a big warm anomaly to the southeast of Fiji, around Fiji as well, just a little bit above average, and it's half and half in the Indian Ocean, and yes, a little bit cooler than average off the northern coast of Australia and in the Gulf of Carpentaria. Checking the oceanic heat content in those areas as well, you can see the South Pacific, turquoise and above really, showing decent amounts of energy for tropical cyclone development. Vanuatu might be getting it quite a bit in the next couple of weeks probably, but generally days. And in the Western Pacific there, still looking decent with a few yellows around Guam and even one or two spots in the Eastern Pacific already starting to fire up. Well, let's check the GFS computer models for the next 5 days. First of all, you can quite clearly see Enala stalling out and Freddy on the left hand side trying to get back over open waters. Eventually does so as a remnant low, doesn't survive as anything significant though over the Mozambique channel, and what's left of its remnant energy sail across the southern tip of Madagascar. Enala there, in fact, does get to a last peak there just before it dies off completely around about the 1st and 2nd of March. Interesting to see. Also in the 5-day period, watch out for Vanuatu there. There's that 90% system becoming a very potent tropical cyclone. And then off the coast of the Solomon Islands and into Vanuatu, there's that other system, that 40% chance. Different models disagree on where it actually starts, but there it is. You can definitely see both of them at this point, and then both of them moving through there, one after the other, both becoming quite substantial tropical cyclones, the first one being the strongest. And checking for further rainfall around Mozambique, and this could become a very dangerous situation, especially for these areas around Gaza and Inhambane provinces. Not taking into account that cloud top area over Beira right now, which might get a lot more than what's indicated here if it's really lashing down there at the moment. But take a look at some of these rainfall accumulations, getting up to 32 inches in some areas there along the coast in Inhambane province, and that is approximately 800 millimeters of rainfall in the next 7 days. And quite high totals elsewhere as well, but that's where the center point is there, the epicenter. Generally we're looking at low to moderate rainfall elsewhere, although northeast of Beira could still get quite a bit up there as well. 8 inches indicated up towards Quelimane, and that is 200 millimeters. Well, in the longer range, the midterm, days 5 to 10, look at this, Eastern Pacific system according to the GFS, and it's not the first time it's thrown this one out. Could it be an early season surprise over there? Well, I think you know what it might be seeing now on the what might have been season for this year now that we've got this, but the GFS is throwing up a borderline tropical system east of 140 degrees west, but I wouldn't lend much faith behind that one yet. In the South Pacific, there's that 2-system surprise there that moves off towards the southeast. Fiji getting some tropical storm force winds, and behind that, well, looks like there's another system there in the Coral Sea as well, and maybe another one forming near Vanuatu towards the end of that loop. That second system, though, continues to trawl off towards the east, affecting Tonga and possibly Niue, and then continues much further out over the South Pacific Ocean, generally moving east-southeastwards. I don't think there's any land areas over there, but it does become quite powerful. You can scan the barcode and take a look at the Force 13 merch store with our usual products, as well as full season and individual animations up for request, and of course the legendary Still Waiting for Hone t-shirt, because we sure are. Well, in the silly range, this is very long range at this point, day 10 to 15, then 10 to 16. There's potentially another system there down that forms just southeast of Madagascar and possibly becomes a tropical system there, turns extratropical later on. But not much to shout about really in the southwest Indian Ocean after these current 2 cyclones. No doubt Freddy has probably sapped up a lot of energy down there in the southwest Indian Ocean after its legendary trek across the whole entire Indian Ocean, becoming the longest tracked storm, I believe, in the southern hemisphere, and certainly the highest ACE producing. Another look at what happens in the South Pacific with those 3 systems once again, and that's after that first one blows through. So 4 and maybe 5 there, another system forming down there in the high latitudes. And look at that, a tropical cyclone does a little loop around Fiji as a significant cyclone, possibly, well, certainly above hurricane force. Just looking out to that other cyclone further east that starts to degenerate. Look further west as well, you see that other cyclone making a significant hurricane equivalent landfall on northern Queensland. You just don't know where to look, there's so much going on there near the end of that loop. And you can talk about all of it on our Discord server, discord.gg/force13. Join over 3,500 weather watchers from around the world to discuss weather from all around the world. We even have areas for earthquakes and other sciences as well. What happened on this day? It was February 26, 1991 when we saw the peak of Cyclone Deborah. A very photogenic storm on that imagery, and some might suggest that it was probably stronger than the official 105 mile per hour peak. I've not done my personal reanalysis, so I guess the jury's out on that, but it may have been stronger. We also had Kelvin, which was off the east coast of Australia, Elma, which had just formed, and Daphne, which was dying out off the west coast of Australia, but nothing else of hurricane equivalent strength. Back to today, and we are code blue for the current situation. The first name in the Atlantic, when we get round to it, is Arlene. In the Eastern Pacific, Adrian, and in the Central Pacific, we are indeed still waiting for Hone. I doubt it will become our 10th storm of the year. In the Western Pacific, Sanvu is next up. The North Indian Ocean, we're still looking out for Mocha. And the average storms per year, 92. Last year finished up with 93 in the end. And down in the Southwest Indian Ocean, the next name is Fabienne. The Australian region, Herman. And in the South Pacific, it is Judy. That's all from tonight's Tropical Weather Bulletin. We'll be back again on Monday night.